Good evening and welcome to the Coon Rapids City Council meeting for Tuesday, October 1st, 2024. If you could please rise and join us for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Griskoviak.
Here.
Councilmember Rayrauer.
Here.
Councilmember Novak.
Here.
Councilmember Geisler.
Here.
Councilmember Armstrong.
Here.
Councilmember Carlson.
Here.
Mayor Cook.
Here. Thank you. All right, why don't we adopt this evening's agenda?
Motion to adopt the agenda, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Motion by Carlson, second by Novak to adopt the agenda. Any corrections or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And the agenda is adopted. And we are right up to a very fun item, the introduction of the Coon Rapids Police Wellness Dog. Captain Harmoning, are you going to be doing that?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Awesome, welcome. Unless we were going to start with the chief, I never know how we're going to.
It's up to you.
Well, it's up to him, actually.
Just say we're excited to introduce the wellness dog Gizmo to the city tonight. We have our handlers here, Officer Ormston and Officer Geese, and then Captain Harmoning, who's been very involved in bringing this program to the police department, is going to talk a little bit about the program and introduce Gizmo.
Thanks, Chief.
Yep.
You guys wanna come up front? Mr. Mayor, council members, it's my pleasure to be here tonight to introduce our new wellness dog, Gizmo, and his handlers, Officers John Ormston and Emily Geese. Gizmo is a 3-year-old black lab that started with our department on August 19th, 2024. His primary role is to promote wellness within our police department to our officers and staff. He was donated by Can Do Canines, which is an organization located in New Hope, Minnesota. In this organization, their primary goal is to train assistance and service dogs. Gizmo has had a variety of training programs, including living with a host family, being part of the U of M Fetch program, where he lived in the dorms with students who were interested in the service animal industry, as well as training he received at Can Do Canines. For this program to be successful, it was imperative that the right handlers were chosen. The primary handler is Officer John Ormston. John was hired in 2020 after coming to us from Hennepin County. He is currently assigned to the Community Policing and Problem-Solving Unit, where he works in our multi-housing community. So Gizmo lives with John and his family and accompanies John to work daily. Officer Emily Geese was hired in 2012 and is currently assigned to patrol. Emily assists John when needed and takes Gizmo when John is unable to or is on extended leave. She will also be assisting as we look to have Gizmo be more part of the community in the future. Just a little background. While researching this program, I found that other departments with a wellness or therapy dog provided lots of good and positive feedback, but there's no way I could have anticipated just what kind of impact that Gizmo has already been having on our police department. I've had many people come to me and tell me how much they enjoy seeing him, and that he is very missed when he's not here. And John could probably speak a little bit more to how many times people come in and out of his office. He struggles to get some work done, but he works hard at it. But that being said, the PD is not the only department who's benefiting from Gizmo. Once the word got out that he was here, we've had folks from finance, HR, legal, and public works come down just to visit and meet him. And John does a really good job of trying to walk him around City Hall on occasion, just to get him introduced to everybody. Gizmo is continuing to work hard on getting acclimated to his new role in his new home, and he's showing his personality off more and more. John will be working on getting him into the community as he gets more comfortable, and we will also be using him on our peer support team as needed. We're very fortunate to have Gizmo as part of our staff, and we know he will continue to have an enormous impact both within the department and within the community. And we would like to thank the Coon Rapids Crime Prevention Association for donating the startup costs to get this program going. So with that, Mr. Mayor, if you would like to come down and welcome our new officer, wellness dog, to the PD family.
was going to mention Gizmo has to learn how to relax a little bit.
Yeah, right.
You sit?
How are you? Huh? Can you shake? Welcome to the crew. Nice. During the workshop, I didn't get to practice that because Gizmo kissed me right on the lips. I thought, we'll just wait. What a beautiful dog. Thank you.
If it's okay, I'll take a minute just to demonstrate a couple things and tricks
Absolutely.
that Gizmo does.
You want the mic or?
No, that's okay.
All
I
right.
think we'll go without it. Well, you wanna grab a chair? Pretty? Gizmo, stand. Stand. Bring your tail. Oh boy. Sit. Down. Oh, hold on, buddy. Down. You very good.
Where's my payoff?
Treat going there.
Hey, down. Settle.
Subtle, I like
Roll over.
more treats, please.
Visit.
John, what was that one?
That's
Visit?
visit.
Oh, that's awesome.
Puts his head down there.
Okay.
My dog Mike does that when he's bad.
Park. Okay. So, down.
Yeah, that's what I got in there.
Down. These are nice for officers if they want to relax and enjoy a couple of minutes with them. They'll stay there for pretty much as long as I ask them to. Okay. That's a few of the things he does, and everyone gets a kick out of all the tricks and stuff that he can do. Thank you.
All right. All right. Just for a minute, I thought you were going to sit down and stay, and I thought, well, that never happens. Thanks for being here. All right, we're looking to approve the minutes of the September 17th meeting.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay. All right, we have a motion by Carlson and a second by Geisler. Is there any discussion or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And those minutes are approved. One abstention, Councilmember Novak. Next item on our agenda, we actually have 6 items on our consent agenda this evening. The first one is to adopt Resolution 24-91, levying the 2024 delinquent utilities. According to the city code, delinquent utility bills should be certified to Winoka County for collection with real estate taxes, and the users have been notified by mail that payments should be made to avoid certification. The amount to be certified to the county is as followed. Well, I'm sure do we have a different amount again tonight, or nope? All right. Utility cost $1,237,327, and then $40 per parcel admin fee times 2,535 parcels, which, that must be about 10% of our parcels, right? Okay, $101,400 in admin fees for a total of $1,338,727. That's about a couple $100,000 more than it was last year at this time. So we're looking to adopt resolution number 24-91, certifying delinquent utilities to taxes. Before I move on that, I just want to make sure that everybody knows, at any time prior to certification to the Division of Property Records and Taxation, the amount may be paid to the city treasurer. However, such payment must be made before November 8th, 2024, or interest will be charged from October 1st through December 31st of next year. Okay. Next item on our consent agenda is to approve waiver of the fireworks display license fee for the Coon Rapids Community Strength Foundation. The Community Strength Foundation has submitted an application to conduct a fireworks display as part of the holiday tree lighting event being held at Boulevard Park on December 14th, 2024. The foundation has requested this in prior years for other events, and the council has granted the waiver. So we're looking to approve a waiver of $120 license fee for fireworks display as part of the holiday tree lighting event being held at Boulevard Park on December 14th, 2024. Next item on our consent agenda, which is actually item 5 tonight, is to approve an on-sale wine 3.2% malt strong beer and Sunday liquor licensing for TB James Incorporated. Tyler James, he just told me too. Burgeon? Burgeon, by getting close, I have no idea. As an application for on-sale wine 3.2% malt strong beer and Sunday liquor licensing for TB James Incorporated, doing business as Pizza Flame, 2016 105th Avenue Northwest. A certificate of insurance evidencing liquor liability and workers' compensation coverage has been received. The license and investigation fees have been paid. The police department is conducting a comprehensive background investigation on the owner of the business, and approval of the license would be conditioned upon a successful background investigation and issuance of a certificate of occupancy from the building inspections department. So we're looking to approve issuance of on-sale wine 3.2% malt strong beer and Sunday liquor licensing for TB James Incorporated, doing business as Pizza Flame, 2016 105th Avenue Northwest, contingent upon a successful background investigation and obtaining a certificate of occupancy. Hey, Tyler, would you make your way up to the microphone here? We got 3 more items to get through, but then I'm going to have you introduce yourself. The next item on our consent agenda is item 6, and that's to adopt resolution 24-92, accepting donations and business sponsorships. Mr. Stemwedel, we have a kind of a sheet full of them. Should I read them, do you think?
Mayor, Council, no, I don't think that's necessary. We're just part of our new practice to bring these forward on a quarterly basis to the city council. And so if folks are interested, they can go out and see who's donating to both city programs and other things going on.
Yeah, great list of sponsorships here for our many events, for the safety camp, Night to Unite, city events, pet fair, senior services, senior transportation, and we really appreciate all of them. So we would like to thank all of the donors and businesses that supported events and programs, and the city council has asked, and we are going to adopt resolution 24-92 to accept contributions made to the city between July 1st and September 30th, 2024. And next item on our consent agenda is item 7. That's to receive schedule of electronic payments. Staff has prepared the attached list of electronic payments processed since the last council meeting. It's really a lot to go through. And we're just receiving the schedule of electronic payments from September 12th, 2024 to September 25th, 2024. And the next and final item on our consent agenda is to approve the final payment to Klamm Mechanical Contractors Incorporated for project 21-65, Fire Station number 3. All of the dates and amounts are reasonable and accurate according to the project file. No liquidated damages are recommended. Staff recommends approval of the change orders and final payment in the amount of $53,853.99 to Klamm Contractors Incorporated for project 21-65. And that's our full consent agenda.
Your Honor,
Councilmember Novak.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Novak, and we have a second by Ray Rauer. And before we go to discussion, it almost seems, Tyler, like the earth has kind of pivoted a little bit here. Pizza Flame, it's been here since what,
77.
1977, just changed ownership. You are the new owner?
Yes.
All right, well, welcome. There you go, now the camera's on you. Why don't you just introduce yourself and just reassure everybody that we're still going to be looking forward to the same great pizzas.
Yeah, my name's Tyler Burgoyne. I took over Pizza Flame back in March. I haven't changed any of our recipes. Everything's staying the same. Just trying to, make it a little nicer again, more friendly looking, and just get it back the way it was.
Maybe even get a few lights out in the parking lot for after dark?
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
The previous owner did fix our front signs. Now it is a little bit lit up, but I do want more lighting out there.
Okay, awesome. All right. Any questions for Tyler while he's up here at the mic?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Carlson?
Thank you, Tyler, for continuing the long-time tradition of Pizza Flame. Thank you for continuing that tradition. That business is very important to our city. It just goes way back. I don't know how many people hadn't been there for a Friday night football game back in the day.
Yeah.
And it's just a great business, and we're so pleased that you're continuing the tradition.
Thank you.
It's the typical fare for my mom's birthday. We host it at our house, and it's always Pizza Flame because that's the pizza she likes. So.
I appreciate that.
She's 104 now, and that's her pizza, so. Tyler, thank you very much. Oh,
Thank
is there
you.
another one?
Yeah. Tyler, I moved into my house near Mississippi Elementary School in 1976. The first pizza I remember ever getting delivered to my house was a Pizza Flame pizza, and it became the staple in my household. So thank you very much for continuing this tradition, and I can't wait to come by and see all the new changes that you're doing.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. Now let's see if we can actually get this approved, because we have a motion and a second. Now, do we have discussion or questions on this? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And the motion carries. And thank you. We're up to item 9, to consider adoption of ordinance 2314, amending city code section 5-1500, prohibited practices for solicitors. And just to remind folks, we are adding to this ordinance two items or two numbers, right? 7 and 8. Number 7, create a public nuisance, as that term is defined by state or local law. These are all prohibited practices.
Correct.
So no creating a public nuisance. And the other prohibited practice we're adding is to sell merchandise or services by means of statements which the person making them knows or should know are false or misleading. All right. Does anybody have any questions of Ms. Lensmeyer on this?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Geisler?
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2314, amending city code, section 5-1500, as it relates to prohibited practices for solicitors, transient merchants, peddlers, etc.
Second.
Motion by Geisler. I'm going to give the tie to Novak. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember
I
Geisler?
would just reiterate to anybody watching at home, if you've got somebody knocking on your door, they should have a lanyard with a license from the city. If they do not, they're not a legal person coming door to door. The exception is for canvassers or people doing, political campaigning at right now. But look for that license, and if they don't have one, you can send them on their way. You could, call the police department. We want to make sure that all of our vendors who are coming to your doors are vetted and trusted, and we know who they are. So they should have that license.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Novak?
Just to piggyback on that, I've had so many constituents contact me on this one, and they always say, the people coming to the door, oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I just left that over there, or I forgot it. No, don't believe that. Send them on their way, absolutely get them off your property, and if they give you any problems, just like Councilmember Geisler said, call the police department. What they're doing is illegal.
Mr. Mayor?
Okay, Councilmember Carlson.
Our licensing process is to protect residents from strangers coming up to their door. And, boy, it's been a big year for unscrupulous solicitors, and had a lot of complaints and just some real serious infractions.
Yep.
And so, yeah, don't be afraid to call 911, because they are violating the law. And plus, these folks are unsolicited, and they could be coming from anywhere. And we really, need to, make sure, if anything, to help ourselves, but also kind of to help your neighbor out by calling the police and getting them to get out of your neighborhood.
And some of them are very persistent, just short of getting their foot in the door, you know?
Very bad.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Rayrauer?
adding these two additions to this, which is the public nuisance and the sale of merchandise or services by means of statements which the person making them knows are false or should know that they're false or misleading. Those are both things that are going to be great in protecting our residents from these detrimental practices. And just want to remind folks too that soliciting is when there is an exchange of money. So when you're talking about an individual selling something or fundraising for money. Political reasons is not included. Thank you.
Well, neither are like high school students selling fundraiser
Yes,
things.
fundraising.
Right, okay, all right, okay. Wanted to make sure that was listed as an exception.
Exception, yes.
Okay, all right. All right,
Oh, I see.
One other thing real quick,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor. To anyone out there watching, don't be afraid to call 911, even if it's not an emergency. That's another question I get a lot. I should be calling 911 for that? Yeah, you should. Just 911, state immediately, this is not an emergency, but, and then state your situation. So, very simple.
all right. Any other discussion on this? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. Next item on our agenda is item 10, and that is to consider Resolution 24-94, accepting a DWI grant from the state of Minnesota. Chief Steiner, you want to hit the highlights on this one?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor and Council. We've been notified again this year by the Minnesota Office of Traffic Safety that we're going to receive the DWI Officer Grant. Those are federal funds from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. They have to be used specifically for DWI-related enforcement. The total of the funds is $146,636.16. That covers the officers' pay with benefits and fringe. Everything's inclusive there. Accepting the grant does require us to increase our authorized strength for the duration of the grant by one officer. This has been ongoing now since 2015, with the exception of 1 year where we weren't awarded the grant. We typically get awarded the grant because we are typically amongst the highest performers in the state. We had both Sergeant Sinclair and Officer Carlson were recognized at a Twins game this September for being DWI All-Stars, and that's pretty commonplace for us. We're very high producers in that area. So we are asking, we've been doing it for years, we'd like to continue doing it, great work's being done, and we're asking that we approve the resolution 24-94 authorizing the 2024-2025 agreement with the Minnesota Office of Traffic Safety and accept the grant to fund the full-time DWI officer again.
Very good. Any questions of Chief Steiner? Okay. So do you want to move
Mr. Mayor?
this then? Councilmember Carlson, you got it there?
Make a motion to approve Resolution 24-94, authorizing the 2024-2025 agreement with the Minnesota Office of Traffic Safety, accepting a grant to fund a full-time officer through September 30th, 2025.
Second.
Motion by Carlson and a second by Armstrong. Is there discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. Thank you, Chief. Item 11 is to consider introduction of an ordinance authorizing the sale of real estate 110XX Mississippi Boulevard. Mr. Brown?
Yes, good evening. We talked about this at a work session a few weeks ago. So this relates to the 3 1/4 or so acre parcel south of the new Fire Station 3, which is part of the old Cook Arena site. We talked earlier this summer about some pieces of city and HRA property that maybe makes sense to sell. This was a fairly straightforward one to do. So over the summer, we conducted a solicitation of offers process to identify a potential buyer. We received one proposal, that is from Centra Homes, which is based here in Coon Rapids. We have been looking at more a townhome type density project. Centra is proposing basically a 16-unit small lot, single-family subdivision, so they'd be narrower, 40-foot wide lots. They'd be similar to the Port Riverwalk development that Centra recently completed just a few miles from here. So it's a little bit less dense of a project than we have been envisioning, although staff believes it's still something that would fit in nicely with the surrounding area and would make a lot of sense at this location. So because it is the city that is selling the property, it must be done by ordinance. So you're asked tonight to introduce the ordinance. Provided the ordinance is introduced, we would come back in a couple of weeks with a purchase agreement for you to consider. We have been negotiating a purchase agreement with Centra. A draft of that is attached to the council packet. Wanted to just hit on some of the highlights, answer any questions, and certainly if there are any concerns or revisions, we can consider those as we continue to negotiate the purchase agreement. Basically, in terms of sale price, originally, Centra in its proposal proposed a sale price of $355,000. That, though, would assume that all of the houses would have vinyl siding as opposed to cement board or engineered wood. In the Port zoning district and a lot of other zoning districts, the city zoning code generally prohibits vinyl siding. It's okay for just straight single-family zoning, but not for those areas in special zoning districts. So basically, that $355,000 sale price assumes vinyl siding on all sides. If we were to require engineered wood or fiber cement siding, Centra is asking for a reduction in the sale price of about $10,000 to $12,000 per unit, which staff believes corresponds to the actual cost of that siding, just because they feel that their buyers don't or aren't willing to pay for the upgraded siding. So wanted to bring that to your attention. At the staff level, we're comfortable with that trade-off, but certainly wanted the council to be aware of that. So if fiber cement or engineered wood siding is required, the sale price would be $179,000. Centra is eager to move forward with this project, so if the purchase agreement is approved, they would be looking to go through the land use approval process yet this fall and winter, and would be looking for a closing on or before March 31st. So I can answer any questions. Obviously, the council will have some additional opportunities to weigh in on this project, but I'm here to answer any questions. We also have a representative of Centra here.
Mr. Brown, the 136 homes or whatever it was they built in Port Riverwalk, were any of those with vinyl siding, or those were all cement board?
No,
right?
those all had either hardy or LP siding. And that was something we had discussed with them very early on in the process. So when that project was first conceived, certainly construction costs have just continued to go up. So there's just more sensitivity to that in the marketplace.
Okay. And the consideration is because it's about an $11,000 upgrade to do the cement board that the buyers would not be willing to pay a nickel of that, and so we just need to give that all as a concession.
That's what Centra has indicated.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Geisler?
So this is just an introduction, and obviously, when you're saying that you have to obtain all of the land use, that would be the site plan and all of those approvals, not just zoning or whatnot, because we may have to, do some rezoning if we want to put it inside the port, all of those kinds of things would have to happen as well. Do you envision that the purchase price is going to be set? Or if there are things that happen within the site plan process, potentially, maybe we allow some vinyl siding, or maybe we allow some other flexibility with building materials, or flexibility in that site plan, would that then potentially allow us to renegotiate the sale price?
Yes, it would. So in the draft purchase agreement we have right now, we have that range of sale prices that's tied to what type of siding is required. So if that is something the council wants to continue to consider, we can leave that language in there.
Well, I'm considering that there could be other flexibilities that may impact that sale price as well. I just want to know if, when we're looking at this, is it going to be, basically 179 or 355, depending on if we say vinyl, yes or no, in the site plan. But if there's other things that we require within the site plan, is there going to be anything that could raise or lower that purchase cost?
I would say that the sale price would be pretty well established by the purchase agreement, but that said, if something came up through that land use approval process that was really fundamentally changing the project, we could always, assuming both parties were in agreement, we could always do an amendment to the purchase agreement that would change the sale price.
Okay. To me, that's the critical piece, that as you're working through the site plan, that's going to probably happen come January, February. I won't be here. But that as you do that, there may be other things that factor in to what the price of each home that they're building. If somebody says, well, no, we don't want 16, we want 15, or hey, we can fit in 18, all of those different factors. And as long as the purchase agreement has the flexibility to say that we have the right, both parties, to potentially say, we want a different purchase price based on criteria put on the site plan. Just give yourself that flexibility. Is something I would recommend. And as long as that's there and people are aware that there could be an amendment by the time it actually gets done, you're going to be better off.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Brewer.
So I'm just taking a look at the purchase agreement here, and just for the audience and folks at home, it says $355,000 sale if 4-sided vinyl siding is approved, $307,000 if fiberboard is only required on the front, but vinyl siding allowed on the side and the rear, and then $179,000 if fiberboard is required on all sides and no vinyl siding. I'm just wondering, the next step on this, will this be something that the council will be deciding before the purchase agreement as far as the allowance of the different type of siding, or is that planning commission, et cetera? If you could help me out with that, that'd be great.
Yeah, so we would ask you to consider the purchase agreement first in just a couple of weeks. Only because in order for, I guess, Centra or any developer to have enough certainty that the project is going to go forward, they need to have some type of site control. So normally that would be a purchase agreement. But that said, this project, most likely we will rezone the property to the port designation, in which case both the plat and a site plan would go to both planning commission and council. So the council would have an opportunity to weigh in on kind of the final elements of the design of the project through the land use process.
Just one more question.
Sure.
Will we have an opportunity to discuss the different options at like a work session then between now and approving the purchase agreement?
Mayor and council, not necessarily, because I think we have to go through the planning process, we have to go through the zoning process to sort of
Okay.
establish what that will be. As a part of that process, however, if council's open to allowing for more flexibility
I
on the
see.
type of siding than would
Okay.
otherwise be allowed, in the Port District that would theoretically increase the sale price of the property. To Councilmember Geisler's
Okay.
point, there may be other things that come up, at which point
Okay.
we could do an amendment to the agreement. But I think for now, this sort of sets out the basic parameters of what the sale of the property might look like, contingent upon some of the other planning steps that we need to go through over the next several months.
Thank you.
And tonight it is just an introduction, so if we have more questions, we can come back to it. Just a quick question. So the plan that you gave us, is that a standard street size that you've got put in there? So we're not doing like a narrow street or a small cul-de-sac or anything like that?
Right, this would be a regular public city street, and it, obviously the details of the project have yet to be worked out, but what is shown is generally in conformance with what city standards are for a city street.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Griscoviac?
question, maybe some comments just for us, but the first one would be, well, there's not a whole lot of undeveloped land in Coon Rapids left, and this is a fairly sizable parcel at 3.5 acres. 179 seems like it's kind of a low price, and I'm feeling that maybe we're not getting the best value for our residents. This is really the residents' piece of property. So with that in mind, just a couple of questions. One of them would be, what did we market it for? Was there a market price? Getting one bid in itself doesn't feel competitive to me, but maybe it is. What's the current tax value on this piece of property today as it sits vacant at 3.5 acres? Let's start there.
Yeah, it is, because it is currently tax exempt, it doesn't have a value attached to it. However, and I will say too, when we did market the property, we did not attach a sale price to it, in part because we envisioned it could be quite a range of different types of projects that would be proposed. Generally for single family, somewhere around $30,000 per unit or per lot would be somewhat of a rule of thumb for land value.
Okay, and I understand these are smaller than normal lots, so that kind of makes sense. And, we definitely want quality construction in Coon Rapids, so we really don't want to trade off to anything less than high quality, but in my opinion, the purchase price seems low. So I just wanted to point that out. That's where I'm thinking.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Carlson?
At the work session, I was in support of the project, and I guess I'm still in support of the project itself, but since then I've thought about the HOA discussion that we had. I know that's not a part of this, but it's a part of my decision-making. So I kind of cooled on a little bit with the lack of HOA after realizing that there are other similar properties around the city that do have an HOA. But this kind of, I'm with Councilmember Griscoviac on this. I think 179,000 is just too low for his 3.25 acres. I know it's just an introduction, Mr. Mayor, but
How many acres was the parcel that we just had the value on from the county, or from the college? Do you remember how many acres that parcel was? It's almost contiguous with this. I think it is contiguous with this.
Mayor, Council, I think that was appraised at 1.2 million. Does that sound accurate, Matt? You're talking about the wooded lot in between the ice center.
Yeah, but I'm trying to remember how many acres that was.
Do you recall,
I
Matt?
believe it's about 4.
Okay.
About 4 acres?
Yeah, the one significant difference with that piece of property is it's zoned high-density residential, and so there is some value driven from that.
Yeah, of course.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Armstrong?
I may have missed it somewhere along the line, but have we actually done a project like this before in the past? I mean, as far as,
Mr. Brown, have we done a project like this?
This, not at this scale, obviously the product type is kind of similar to the Port Riverwalk project, but of course that was much larger since it covers about 35 or 40 acres. So we haven't done, most of the projects that have been city initiated on parcels closer to this size have been more multifamily type projects as opposed to more a traditional residential subdivision.
What did they end up with for lot sizes down at Port Riverwalk? Were those 40-foot lots too?
believe most of those are 50-foot wide.
50-foot wide?
lots, yeah. These are deeper just because of the shape of the site.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Novak?
Did you forget my name for a minute?
We all was just thinking.
Port Riverwalk is actually in my ward, and the people who live there love it. They love everything that's been done with it. I grew up in this area, just about 2 blocks away, and I'm very familiar with this area. Getting residential in that area, to me, is extremely beneficial to the city. And so I can't speak to the price range. That's not my area of expertise at all. But I would certainly be willing to bend over backwards to get this project done. So I'm 100% in for it.
So, Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Geisler?
Yeah, I think my whole point is that it's a parcel that, doing, small family, single-family homes, right thing to do. Centra is a great partner. We've had them in the city, good partner. My concern is a little bit on the price and only looking at the exterior siding as the driver for the cost. I've been through so many site plans with 16 years on planning to know that there's a lot of other things that can come up in the conversations. And I just want us to be prepared that while we all, I think, want to have this property developed, that we want to do the right thing, that you're not really going to figure out what the actual sale price is until you get through the site planning process. And that's going to take a while. And as long as everybody understands that it might go a little higher, it might go a little lower, it might be whatever, because the goal is to get the right product in the right place with the right builder and have a quality housing for our residents, and get it at the reasonable price for what is that value of that land to be able to bring those additional units into our city, which will be driving, revenue, because right now it's not generating any taxes. These new homes will generate taxes. So I think introduction is fine, but everybody know that what's here is probably just the framework, and until we get through the end of the site plan, will you actually know what all of the details are and what that price actually will end up being.
Yeah, and I think that for me, the challenge is it's a 16-unit, small lot, single-family development. And that just seems too much. I'd like to, and
that's where the site plan, you may end up going, and it needs to be 12. And if that's what it is, then, either the price of the lot, land has to change, or, we decide that we agree to disagree and walk away. But I think you've got to get through that site plan process to know that everybody's going into it with good faith, that we want to make the right kind of solution and bring more residential into this neighborhood with a good quality builder, but do it in the right way.
well, to be clear, what we're introducing is a 16-lot, single-family subdivision.
Yep.
So that doesn't get changed in the site plan. That's the ordinance.
Well, it can.
So, right,
You know,
if we
but-
don't
but
pass
it-
the ordinance in a couple weeks, sure.
But it's also contingent on all of the approvals. And if those don't get approved, this is moot.
Well, now you're talking about the purchase agreement. This is the ordinance. The ordinance is what we're introducing now that we'll be picking up in 2 weeks.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, Councilmember
just a
Griscoviac?
point of information, isn't this ordinance authorizing the sale of the property? It's not the site plan or approving anything else. It's approving to sell this property for in those ranges, right?
Hey, Mr. Buccione, what do you think?
Throw it to the legal.
You were just gonna be pretty here all night. We're gonna,
Mr. Mayor, Council, it's right in the preamble there, what's being approved, and you all have read the packet, so I'm not going to read it to you, but it's authorizing this body to sell the property, or the city.
And Mayor and Council, it should be noted that within the ordinance, it does sort of anticipate that range of potential sale price, so.
no, right, I've got the sale price, but
Right.
it's still 16 units, small, it's a
Correct.
16-lot, single-family subdivision.
Correct.
So that doesn't seem that ambiguous. That seems pretty
It says
Set.
approximately 16 units.
Okay. No. I'm willing to introduce it, I just have problems with it yet. Is there any other discussion on this tonight? All right, if there's no other discussion on this, then we will consider an ordinance authorizing the sale of real estate at 110XX Mississippi Boulevard. We'll consider that introduced. Item 12 is to consider an introduction of an ordinance authorizing the sale of real estate 12258 Crooked Lake Boulevard. I will admit, I was surprised in the sale price of this one too, but I do like all of the work you're requiring them to do. So, Mr. Brown.
All right, so another sale. This is a residential property on Crooked Lake Boulevard. You might remember the city had actually acquired this a while ago, going back to almost 25 years ago when Crooked Lake Boulevard was realigned. The city had acquired some other properties along that stretch of roadway. This one, the owner wasn't particularly interested in selling at that time, but was willing to enter into a life estate deed with the city so that she could continue to live there for a while. When she decided to move on, the city would take ownership of the property, which finally happened about 4 years ago. Since that time, we've continued planning for the third lane project on Highway 10. That's going to be happening in the next couple of years. As plans have been developed for that, we've concluded that this property isn't needed for noise walls. Those will be on the other side of Crooked Lake Boulevard, or really any other transportation purposes. So we talked about this at a work session recently as well. Council concluded it probably made sense to just sell the house to someone who would rehab it rather than simply tear it down and kind of incorporate it into the city-owned green space nearby. So we did list the property for sale. I will note the house is currently built as a duplex, an up-down duplex. So there's a walkout basement that has access to the exterior, but there is no stairway inside the house. So as a condition of the sale, we absolutely want someone to convert it back to single family so that it's conforming with the LDR2 zoning district. While it is a nice house, it does have some other maintenance needs, including it has the original boiler, which have been drained, so the HVAC system is going to need to be completely replaced. And there are some other pretty significant maintenance needs there. So that is the reason for the fairly low sale price. We really looked at, what is the maximum a house might sell for at that location? How much work does it need in our best estimate? And then based on that, we arrived at a list price. So we actually received 8 offers for this property. There were close to 80 showings. I think people were especially intrigued by the fairly low sale price. So we came up with a scoring system and determined the highest scoring offer was submitted by 246 Home Capital, which is based locally here. They've rehabbed a number of houses in Anoka County, so their financial capacity is there. They are a licensed contractor, so we feel pretty confident that they'll be able to make the renovations that the house really needs in a pretty reasonable time frame. So their proposed sale price is $160,000. Once again, we attached a draft of a purchase agreement here. We are going to basically cloud the title until the work is done. It is important to us that the house is completely rehabbed and then sold to someone who would buy it and be an owner occupant. They are interested in moving on this project fairly quickly here. They're willing to close as soon as late October and complete the renovation by spring. So I can answer any questions, but basically, once again, you're asked to introduce the ordinance. We will be back with a full purchase agreement in a couple weeks.
And Mr. Brown, you just touched on that, but when they finish this extensive remodeling and this rehabbing, when they sell it, they have to sell it to an owner occupant.
That's what we are asking. It is a little bit challenging to fully require that.
That's
but
what I
we
was kinda
are-
wondering.
We are asking.
Okay. Because that is attractive, you know, because we want people to own, we want people to have an investment here. Okay, any questions on this?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember
A couple
Griscoviac?
of quick questions on this. First of all, access, the house is on Crooked Lake Boulevard. Is there going to remain an access on Crooked Lake Boulevard? I checked it out, and I don't know how people would want to back in and out right onto Crooked Lake Boulevard. So that's my first question.
Yes, and the house does have an attached garage that really faces Crooked Lake Boulevard, so it would be kind of challenging. And the house is actually situated not all that far from the street, so it would be challenging to have no access on Crooked Lake Boulevard. Currently, there are actually 3 different curb cuts. As part of this work scope, we're asking them to remove the large expanse of pavement that's on the north side of the house, off of 123rd. But they would keep access onto Crooked Lake, and from our standpoint, it would be tough to not have that.
Okay. And the other question I had is, 25 years ago, when we entered into the life deed or whatever it was, what did we pay to acquire the property?
We paid, I believe, $135,000.
Okay, so we're
It's a profit deal.
profit maker, boy. And then I did have another question. And when the property was operated, you said it's set up as a duplex. Was it operated with a duplex with some type of, I don't know, an exception going on in the past, or?
We could not really figure that out. There was never a rental license for the property, nor, and the tax classification was single family. We believe there were a couple of different extended family members who were living in the house, and it was just operated that way for many, many years.
Okay. And then just one more thing. It seems like it is a relatively low purchase price. It is, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done or requiring it to be done. Was there any thought of maybe partnering with like Habitat for Humanity to get it up to a standard there, and maybe there could be some more benefit for the community if we did that route? Did they make a bid, or anybody?
They did not. We didn't specifically approach them. The city has worked with Habitat for Humanity in the past. I do think that if they were to, well, if they were even interested in it, the city would effectively be the developer and, you know, kind of be, would probably be more hands-on or take more risk.
Okay, and probably not something we really want to do, I suppose.
No, not at this point, particularly when it's gone through this process.
Sure, right. All right. So,
All right, any other questions of Mr. Brown on this? Hearing none, we will consider the ordinance authorizing the sale of real estate at 12258 Crooked Lake Boulevard introduced. And we are on to item 13. Consider resolution 24-93, accepting a safe road zone grant and approve a grant agreement with the state of Minnesota. Mr. Himmer.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Council. This is kind of phase 2 of a previous grant that the police received earlier this year. They did the enforcement component of it, so they get to improve safety along Northdale Boulevard between roughly Hanson and University. We got some parks, we got some schools. So they were successful in getting phase 1 earlier this year. We finally caught up on phase 2, so this will include some dynamic display signs, additional speed limit signs, some education component through our communications department. So we're working jointly with police. We start with some enforcement, then we add the enhancements, we do the education, and then additional enforcement, and we'll see how that turns out for us. So phase 2 for us, there's a $5,000 local match. We do have funds available within the streets or the construction fund, and we're happy to move this forward, and I'm happy to stand for any questions.
The timing couldn't be better with all that brand-new smooth asphalt over there.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Ray Rauer.
I'm excited to see this come through, and door knocking in that area along Northdale Boulevard. It's definitely something that the residents brought up to me repeatedly. And so excited that this is going to be looked at, that we have this award coming in to do that work. And so with that, I will make a motion to approve Resolution 24-93, authorizing the acceptance of the Safe Road Zone Grant and authorize staff to execute the grant agreement with the state of Minnesota.
Second.
Motion by Rayrower and a second by Geisler. Is there further discussion on this?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Griscoviac?
On this one, I think it's great. I mean, to make that road safer is a great thing. We got parks, we got schools, we got tons of residential, and I know people speed on Northdale all the time. It drives me crazy. It has. I lived over there for a long time. So I'm in favor of this. I'm glad we're getting the grant. Good job to the police department and Public Works for getting everything put together. Just one question. It sounds like a little bit, well, some of the terminology in here, safe road design, things like that. Are we going to be bringing any elements to this stretch like what we did on 121st? Because some of the council had some concerns with, what actually transpired over there.
Councilmember Griscoviac, Council, that was more related to pedestrian movements.
Okay.
While certainly we have this here, I will also remind you, this is an Anoka County road. So we have to work with Anoka County, who signed off, gave us a letter of support on this. So anything we do is going to have to meet with their approvals as well.
Okay.
So, in Mr. Himmer, it's specifically installing 2 pairs of dynamic speed display signs and additional speed limit signs, execute a concurrent social media campaign, and design or distribute educational print materials, correct?
That is correct.
So that is the scope.
Okay, so everything that's written in the packet is
Okay.
the scope.
Yep.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Carlson?
any idea where those dynamic speed signs would go? I know somebody would love to have one.
To be determined.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Armstrong?
Yeah, I need to weigh in here too, because a big section of that is in my ward, and my constituents will be very, very happy that this is taking place. Yeah, they love to take that stretch from the railroad tracks by the park all the way through at a high rate of speed until a red light tells them they have to stop. So this will be greatly appreciated.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. And item 14 is to consider the appointment of election judges, approve the salaries, and set canvass date for general election. Ms. Lensmeyer.
Mayor and Council, as you may have heard, there's an election coming up on November 5th. So the item before you tonight is a request to have council appoint the election judges that were provided, the list that's provided in your packet, to authorize the city clerk to appoint and assign election judges during the 25 days preceding the election if substitutions are necessary, to approve hourly salary for election judges at $12 per hour, assistant head judges at $13 per hour, head judges at $15 per hour, student judges at $12 per hour, and a request to schedule a special meeting to canvass the results of the general election for Tuesday, November 12 at 6:30. I'll answer any questions you may have.
Your Honor.
Councilmember Rayrower?
Just want to say thank you to our city clerk, Joan Lensmeyer, for doing a fabulous job, organizing and setting up these elections and getting these election judges in place who do, it's very fair and run very smoothly, and appreciate that. And thank you to all of our election judges who come and do that work. We appreciate you. We need more than we ever have before as we continue to expand voting hours. And so with that, I will make a motion to approve appointment of election judges as outlined on the attached list. Authorize the city clerk to appoint and assign election judges during the 25 days preceding the election if substitutions are necessary. Approve hourly salary for election judges at $12 per hour, assistant head judges at $13 per hour, head judges at $15 per hour, and student judges at $12 per hour, and schedule a special meeting to canvass the results of the general election for Tuesday, November 12th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m.
Second.
Motion by Rayrower, and Brian, was that you?
Yep.
Second by Armstrong. Is there discussion on this?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Geisler?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody who signed up to do election judge. It's, not necessarily a high-paying job for the day, but it gets you engaged in the election process. They're very, very long days. These people work very, very hard. If you look at the list, I think our city team does a great job. Well, why are there more judges at one precinct than at another? And it's how we end up divvying up the precincts of where we have places for people to vote. If there's more people who could vote in that place, we have more election judges and more materials there. So we can always strive to make sure that the voting process is quick and smooth and easy for all of the people in every precinct. And if you haven't signed up yet and you are interested, I'm sure Ms. Lensmeyer would take your information, that we're always looking at people because it never fails that somebody gets sick or somebody can't make the whole day, those kinds of things. So having alternates would be helpful. So that would be great.
Anything to add to that?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Geisler, thank you. Yes, it is a long day. We appreciate everybody who comes out, and you're exactly right. You'll notice on the list that the voter registration numbers are slightly different in different precincts, so we'll have more judges where we've got a larger voter count. Just makes the day go smoother.
And then, Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Geisler?
And I probably can bring it up now, that there is in-person absentee voting, and we have election judges working currently doing that in-person absentee here at City Hall. It's right now, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Geisler, that's correct. We are open here at City Hall Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30 for in-person absentee. Right now, we're in what's called the envelope process, which means you will vote your ballot, slip it in an envelope, and then slip it in another one. We'll seal it and keep it in the vault for you. When we get to October 18th, we do the direct balloting where you can place your ballot right in the machine. So we will have some additional hours. We're open on Saturday, October 26th from 9 to 3, Saturday, November 2 from 9 to 3, Sunday, November 3 from 9 to 3, and Monday, the day before, the 4th, we're open until 5, and then there's all day on Election Day. So
Awesome.
if you have any questions, give us a call on the hotline.
So,
Excellent.
thank you.
Thank you
Yep.
very much.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Carlson?
How you doing? Just want to kind of reiterate what a great bunch of hardworking folks we have for our election judges, and they're paid, but it's really more of a service because, boy, do they put a lot of work in those couple months a year. You couldn't go career in it, once every couple of years, but boy, they pour a lot of time into it, and a lot of hard work and long days, and it's a great service to the community, and thanks to those who are there, and absolutely, if anybody's interested, sign up.
We'll take you.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Do we have, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. We are to the open mic portion of the meeting. Is anybody here to address council for open mic this evening? All right. I don't have any reports on previous open mics, and we are to other business. Ms. Hanson, you just had a social media post cautioning some of our residents that their water bills might be a little off. Is that true?
Correct, Mr. Mayor. So we did make an announcement on our social media, just so with our latest utility billing batch here, impacts about 8,000 of our residents as we bill in 3 different cycles, that there was a printing error. So if you received your bill by paperless or online, those bills are correct. It just had to do with a file format coming from our new billing software. We've identified the error and it'll be corrected going forward. So if you have received the bill in the last couple days in the mail, you can disregard that. We've got new ones that were processed and mailed out today, so those should be arriving within the next few days.
Very good. All right, thank you for that. Other business.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Geisler?
We'll make sure that Mr. Erickson in the back is ready with all of our fun little events that we're talking about. As always, we have our farmers market. There are only 2 Wednesdays left for our farmers market. So it's by the ice arena, as it says on the screen here, 3 to 6 p.m., lots of great things, so stop by and get your fresh produce. And then Saturday the 12th, we have the Fire Station 3 open house. That's the new fire station on Mississippi Boulevard across from the community college. If you haven't been there, it's a fabulous facility. Go check it out and take the tour. And, you know, all of the fun people will be there, the fire trucks. The kids can look at all the trucks and the emergency vehicles, and Sparky, the fire dog. Maybe Gizmo will be there as well. And then the next Saturday, everybody loves Rocky's Pumpkin Patch, and where kids can come and get a pumpkin, and there's candy and prizes, and the police are there, the fire trucks are there, the public works trucks are there. All the kids are dressed up in their great costumes, and it's a really, really fun event at Sand Creek Park, and that's from 10 to 1 on Saturday the 19th. Lots of fun events coming up.
Excellent.
And I know you have another one.
Well, yeah, so it's even earlier than those events, and Mr. Erickson doesn't have this one, but he told me to hold it up. And it's the, not near, oh, here, let me get it straight in here, yeah. It's Thursday, October 3rd. This Thursday night, the Coon Rapids Rotary Sampler will be over at Bunker Hills Event Center, which is connected to Kendall's Tavern and Chop House. And we've got 7 vendors, I think it is, like Lupulin and Alloy, and I shouldn't have started, but 5 more. And all kinds of great food, and it's kind of the event where everybody plans on getting together for that night. There'll be a lot of fun things, silent raffles, or silent auctions, raffles, heads and tails games. Mr. Stemwell, what am I missing?
Yeah, Mayor, I think you've hit most of the highlights. It is really a nice event, 3 hours, 6 to 9, as you mentioned, this Thursday. The primary reason the Rotary Club hosts this is to raise funds for Coon Rapids High School's Respect Retreat, which is all of their incoming freshmen go through a program that's really valuable. And we're this year kind of trying to step up our game and do some additional funding for the biomedical sciences program, as I think they've lost some funding recently. So those are the 2 primary fundraising efforts we're making, and so far we think we're doing pretty well, but certainly there's room for additional attendees if anybody's interested. Best way to buy tickets is either to go to eventbrite.com and search for the Coon Rapids Rotary Sampler. You can go to our Facebook page, Coon Rapids Rotary Club, or you can just roll in on Thursday night with $40 a person, which will get you in, and as you mentioned, all of the food sampling, the beverage sampling, the music, and then there are additional games and raffles that are additional cost. So,
Yeah. A lot of fun, though.
tons of fun.
You show up.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Carlson?
it's a great, fun event. It just, the room is just packed usually, and it's just, everybody's having a great time. It's just a lot of fun and festivity, and just a lot of the people you see around town are there, and it's just a good time. So if you haven't been there yet, I encourage you to come check it out.
I think it was a particularly good time for the lovely Mrs. Carlson last year. Didn't she win one of the heads and tails games?
Yes, she did, Mr. Mayor. I don't remember, Mr. Mayor, if you were calling that, because, no, I don't think you were calling it, so nobody could cry foul on that.
Yeah. All right. Any other business to come before council this evening? Chief Steiner.
Mr. Mayor, just a couple of quick things. You probably noticed, or you may notice, I'm wearing a pink badge today, and the officers that were here introducing Gizmo also did. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and our officers are given the opportunity. They purchase these badges at their own expense and are authorized to wear them in the month of October, and they're asked to make a donation to a relevant charity. And then second, I didn't get a chance to see if it was done before because it was light out, but October is also a Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and as part of the Purple Lights campaign, the City Hall will be lit in purple. Like I said, I'm not sure it's done. I think it is?
It is.
Is it? Good, all right. And that's just to draw attention to an awareness to victims of domestic assault. So just a couple of unique things about October I wanted to bring up.
Excellent. Excellent. Great support. Any other business to come before council?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion by Carlson, second by Geisler to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.